The world is quiet at 5 a.m., and in that silence, something rare becomes possible. There are no notifications, no demands, no noise pulling at your attention. There is only you and the version of yourself that most people will never meet. This is the hour where advantage is built, not in bursts of inspiration, but in calm, deliberate action. While 97% of people are still asleep, wrapped in comfort and surrendering to distraction, you are awake. And that single decision, repeated day after day, begins to separate you from the majority in a way that compounds over time. Success is rarely the result of one dramatic moment. More often, it is the outcome of small, disciplined actions carried out consistently long before anyone is watching. Waking up at 5 a.m. is not easy. It is not designed to be. Your body resists it, and your mind immediately begins to negotiate. It offers you reasonable excuses, disguised as logic, that you need more rest, that you can start tomorrow, that one day will not make a difference. But that resistance is precisely the point. Discipline is not developed when things are easy. It is forged in the moments when comfort is available, yet deliberately rejected. The Stoics believed that true power begins with mastery over the self, not over circumstances, not over other people, but over your own impulses and decisions. There is perhaps no clearer demonstration of this than waking up early by choice. No one forces you to do it. No one rewards you for it. Most people will never even know that you did, yet you rise anyway because you made a commitment to yourself and you intend to keep it. In doing so, you reclaim something that most people have unknowingly surrendered: control over your time. For the average person, the day begins in reaction. Messages, emails, responsibilities, and obligations immediately take over. Before they have even had a moment to think, their time is no longer their own. But at 5 a.m., your time still belongs to you. These early hours become your territory, a space where you are not reacting, but creating. You can read with focus, study with intention, train your body with discipline, or work on something meaningful that moves your life forward. While others are still asleep, you are already building momentum. This is where your edge begins to take shape. Not in public, not in meetings, not in moments of recognition, but in private, in silence, in repetition. If 97% of people are unwilling to make this sacrifice, then by definition, what you are doing is rare. And rarity in any competitive environment carries value. In business and in life, advantage comes from doing what others are unwilling to do and doing it consistently. Anyone can wake up early once, but that is not where separation happens. The real question is whether you can do it again tomorrow and the day after that, and on the days when you are tired, unmotivated, or tested, because consistency is where the gap is created. One extra hour each morning may not seem significant at first, but over time, it compounds. An hour a day becomes 7 hours a week. Over the course of a year, that becomes hundreds of hours of focused effort. Time spent learning, building, improving, and advancing while others remain stationary. Eventually, that difference becomes impossible to ignore, and more importantly, impossible to catch. There is also a deeper shift taking place beneath the surface. When you consistently do what is difficult, you begin to change your identity. You are no longer someone who waits for motivation or acts only when it is convenient. You become someone who follows through, regardless of how you feel. Someone who operates with intention rather than impulse. And that identity shapes everything. It influences your decisions, raises your standards, and lowers your tolerance for mediocrity. You stop hoping that things will work out and begin positioning yourself so that they do. You move with clarity, with purpose, and with control. There is also a strategic reality that cannot be ignored. In any competitive space, whether in business or personal ambition, you are not alone. There are others who are intelligent, capable, and driven, but most of them are still anchored to comfort. They hesitate. They delay. They negotiate with themselves. And every time they do, you move forward, quietly, steadily, without announcement. You are building an advantage that is invisible in the moment, but undeniable over time. By the time results begin to show, the foundation has already been laid and the gap has already been created. This is the essence of strategic discipline, doing the work early, consistently, and without the need for recognition. Of course, none of this is easy. There will be mornings when your body feels heavy and your mind feels clouded. There will be moments when motivation is completely absent, but that is where most people misunderstand the process. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is not. Discipline is the decision to act regardless of how you feel. It is the standard you hold yourself to, even when it would be easier to lower it. It is the promise you make to yourself and refuse to break. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. You do not need to be perfect. You simply need to show up again and again, even when it is inconvenient, even when it is uncomfortable, even when no one is watching. Over time, what once required effort becomes automatic. What once felt difficult becomes part of who you are. And in those early hours, something else begins to emerge: clarity. Without noise or interruption, your mind has the space to think deeply, to reflect honestly, and to plan effectively. You can anticipate challenges, prepare responses, and align your actions with your long-term goals. Instead of reacting to the day, you are shaping it before it begins. Better thinking leads to better decisions, and better decisions, repeated over time, lead to better outcomes. So ultimately, waking up at 5 a.m. is not about the time itself. It is about what that time represents. It represents control over your impulses, commitment to your goals, and a willingness to embrace discomfort in pursuit of something greater. It represents a deliberate choice to step away from the average and toward the exceptional. Imagine two people starting from the same point, with the same abilities and the same ambitions. One chooses comfort, acting only when it feels right. The other chooses discipline, acting consistently regardless of how they feel. At first, the difference between them is barely noticeable, but as time passes, the gap begins to widen. Not because one had more talent, but because one made better use of time. Time does not reward intention, it rewards action. And the one who acts more, who shows up more, who commits more consistently, inevitably moves ahead. In the end, this is a decision you must make daily. When the alarm goes off, you are faced with a choice between comfort and growth, between ease and discipline, between remaining where you are and becoming something more. No one else can make that choice for you. No one is watching. No one is keeping score except you. So if you want a real, lasting edge, one that compounds quietly but powerfully over time, start here. Wake up at 5 a.m. Claim those hours as your own. Use them with intention. Protect them with discipline. And repeat the process day after day without negotiation. Because while 97% of people are still asleep, you are already moving forward. In the long run, that advantage becomes undeniable. If you're ready to become more than you were yesterday, subscribe and stay committed to the process. Thank you.